get into this thing for today. Alright, so this is part 10. Yay! So we're finally starting to get into metal today. I'm going to be only working on the pauldrons today, and hopefully we get a decent way through this. Yeah, but only thing we have left are the gauntlets, the pauldrons, and the hair and hat area. Everything else can come in through texturing later on. Things that I did off stream were just very minor things. I went through and changed the look of this very slightly to not make it so inflated looking. And I also redid the foot area, which is basically how I said I was going to do it, of just retopping the area that I did again, but more aligned with the concept. And this is basically what it looks like for its low res. I kept the inside middle part just so I can kind of play around with it, and if I didn't need it, I was going to delete it later, but since it's not causing a problem here, I'm just going to keep it. Make sure everything's kind of closed off, and I made sure it was at least flat-ish on the floor panel I have here. Yeah, but other than that, I don't think I did too much outside of what y'all have seen so far. Yeah, so I'm most likely going to be pretty quiet for majority of this pauldron, just because it's very time consuming. But what I'm going to be doing is basically breaking this off into parts and then cleaning up those parts. I'm going to clone this into a different section altogether. That way I can just focus on just this one thing. And then I'm gonna bring it over as a completed mesh later on. Yeah, so let's start working on that now. At least take a picture that way. If anyone wants to know what we're working on, you can see it. And just put this out the way for now. Shift this in. Yeah, okay. And I think this stays between parts. Well, let's see. Yes, it does. All right. So, like I was saying before, I'm going to be breaking this off into parts. I'm going to be mainly using IMM brushes that I either have found or might create one, just so y'all can at least see the process of doing it. That might be something I do for at least this section. But let me get my concept out of the way. At least know what I'm trying to create. I really wish there was a way to superimpose Pure F4 onto this screen, but for whatever reason, Streamlabs has some issues with this program in particular. That's okay. All right, so I'm gonna duplicate this off. That way I can always have this one down below, and then now I'm just gonna start sectioning everything off by breaking it into poly groups and dynameshing it if I can find my pen. And I'm not going to care too much about the other half of this. I don't have it in symmetry as of right now. Yeah, maybe I should. Let me just turn it on and see how breaking apart does. That turn on by select lasso. They're worried about the surface level stuff. And then I'm going to do Control W, which I believe, yeah, changes the polygroup. Yeah, I'm going to fill hole just real quick. Close hole. Sorry. Those to be different colors. So no. Let me cut off this area too. I'm gonna turn on double-sided just so I can see everything. That's also located in the display properties. I should probably get these two things together. Let's delete this one first. These, there we go. Okay, so since that's all well and good now, I'm gonna duplicate this one too. So the first one is just to make sure I always have at least the size and shape of it. The second one is to make sure I always have these groups so I know what is a separate part. And then this one is the one I'm actually going to be working off of. And you can name these in here, but since it's going to be something, hopefully it's going to go by quickly, I'm not worried about that. But I will save. And you can turn on this function right here called mask by polygroups. And where's that? Auto masking. In auto masking, there's a mask by polygroups, and basically what it does, if you have it set all the way to 100, you can work on just one aspect of your model. So let me turn on polyframe, but turn off the line so at least you can see it. And then you can just work on this section entirely, and it won't go to the other poly group except for the part that's touching. But it's a really good way to like dig into your model without destroying the other stuff. And I believe it even does it with the smooth. Yes. But there's also another brush that is pretty good. It's the smooth brush. So I brought it out here. It's called Smooth Groups. And basically what it does is if you, I don't know if it's going to be easy to tell with this Dynamesh look to it. Yeah, it'll be easy to show you with a smaller object. So let me go here real quick. There's a poly mesh. I'm just going to select these, make it a poly group, right? Let me do something that you can actually tell it's a different color. Okay. Now I have smooth groups on. It basically smooths that area and can make like a nice circular object. Learned that through one of the ZBrush summits. Okay. Probably first. I think one of the things I'm debating right now is like how this kind of fits onto her arm, right? Because like we can make it where it is this really or this nice smoothed out metal that kind of conforms to the arm, or we could just have it as a big gap. Which honestly, for the sake of time, might be my go-to. This is all the liberties you can take when you're doing like a personal character that wouldn't be all that helpful for if you were in the studio setting. Another thing you can do is using like turn this to like the smooth. Isn't that turned on? My sculptures mode isn't coming on. I wonder why that is. Because doubles on? No. Yeah, I actually wanted to use that this time around, so I have to figure that out relatively soon. Okay, now that that's all broken up, let me just clean up this little section. Just get rid of everything else. Now that I have all those into different parts, I'm going to separate, split by parts. Okay, so there's something actually wrong with the file. Quick save real quick. And let me dynamesh this and see if that fixes my error. Dynamesh. Okay. That worked how I wanted it to, but it also didn't. Okay, that's concerning. Okay, let's try to polygroup, split by polygroup again. Subtool, but groups, yeah. Okay, that time it worked. Turn off solo. It didn't work on these parts individually. No, I actually didn't want it to do that. I also did a whole bunch of weird things too. This is why it's good to keep the backup for these weird little issues. So it made a whole bunch of faces on it that wasn't supposed to have. Duplicate again. Just delete this. Let me actually reopen this file up see if that fixes something. Take a look at my nice wallpaper while this opens up. And let me just go to a blank file first. That's working. Quick saves. Okay, now it's back on. All right. Hopefully that fixed it. Okay, that's right. Okay, now let's split into parts. Now I should only do like 6 or so. No, it did like 1,000 again. Okay, that's messed up. How can I do this without redoing all of my work? Okay, so what I'm going to do is dynamesh it together, use the poly groups from this one to color this one. All right. So dynamesh this at a pretty high resolution. Go to this one that has the colors on it. Let me just fix this one more color issue again. That, leave this out, delete this part, do that. No, stop pressing a button. Now that that's all one mesh, we're going to poly paint by poly groups. Should do that with everything is there. And then I'm going to project that poly paint onto this one. So the subtools, is that on? Yeah, that's on. So project only the color. So now we got the color detail there. And now that I have the color there, I'm going to turn this one off and poly group based on poly paint, which has made it nice and grouped, even though there's some weirdness there too. Actually, that might have messed something up. Yeah. If I just turn off the color. I guess we're just doing it again. Let's hope this works this time. Okay, yes. Yeah, be done with it. It's that other part that wasn't connected to anything. This one. All right. So now that this has been redone again, this below its shoes. Grab these 3 pieces. Now let's do that. And that should be good. Not duplicated. And hopefully we're all good to go for the separating of parts. Quick save one more time. It's not comprised of multiple parts. What are you talking about? Group split? Okay, that worked, but it did it about a weird way. Okay, now it's time to just clean up these areas and change the material. Says it's sinking in, and this is more of a rounded section anyway, so I'm going to change how I think about this. So I'm gonna turn this one off and then add a eyeball in there. You know what? This will be even better to do. Delete this one, duplicate this mesh, and then with the gizmo selected, go to a primitives section, and you can just click on it, turn off active symmetry, and you can just easily replace it. Just gonna rotate that back. Leave that the way it is. I'm gonna put this all in a folder, so it's nice and neat. Don't remember how to spell pauldron, so I'm just going to put shoulder piece. And I'm going to name all these parts a little bit later. Next is to just kind of shape it out, make it look cool. So this has and you can do this in a couple of different ways. You can go through the process of retoppling it, which is my preferred method, but I at least want to show a different method during this process as well, which is just sculpting on the thing until it looks right. Honestly, there's not many parts that I can really sculpt on, because these are going to be done by insert mesh brushes, curved brushes. So. Show y'all how to make a really quick one. Change the color. You can also use a brush called crease curve, right? So what crease curve does is basically wherever this line shows up, there's a crease there. So when you smooth, it creases, it sharpens that edge, which is really good for more free-form hard surface objects. And I'm only worried about the one side just because it's a lot easier to do it that way than trying to finagle it to be perfect. And I'm going to use my mirror and weld. Oh, I didn't realize that caps it off. Okay, well, since this is capped off now, I'm going to inflate that area. And this is fine. Maybe it isn't. Let me go back a few steps. It does seem odd that does create thickness in it though. What will I do though? Good. Face curves, does that not create? No, that does create an inside. You know what? Let's do that anyway. Make this nice, clean. And I'm just gonna keep deleting after I clean it up. Wrong way. And delete. Hidden again. Auto group. And then make sure this is the only thing showing. Delete hidden. All right, now that that is pretty good on one side, I'm just going to mirror weld it. Nice, crisp edges. Everything back there is not really troublesome. I could easily use the move brush to bring it back out if I wanted to. All right. Back there, just masked off. Pull this down, possibly. That doesn't quite look right. Like I want to make a nice little pinch area here. Let's crease the poly group. And then let's see if I can just either ZBrush this perfectly fine, detect edges on it. And let me just crease these parts and delete the creased area. Thanks for the follow, 3D. Alright, since that is pretty good, I'm gonna delete the inside again because I don't want that. And mirroring well so I can get the crease on both sides. We should still be around the edges of these. And I'm going to remesh. Keep creases too. That's the case with me. Also, do this while I'm at it. Delete the inside again. Mirror weld. And I guess maybe put a crease down the middle. Now with all that selected, I'm gonna turn this down. I don't need it to be that high. But I did need to keep it, so back to 5 we go. It also seems really weird that it didn't decrease in the middle. This is why I tend to like to do my own retop. Just one more time, but at 0.2 maybe. It should be about 200 polygons. Oh well, I tried to do a different way. You know, at least you could see what I was doing. You can also just extrude it out from here and everything, which that might actually work. Let me try that before I give up completely on this. What's the button for? Here we go. Edge loop. Turn that down, turn the polish down, turn the bevel down, turn the elevation, yeah. Down, turn the thickness up. More manageable like that. It looks all poopy now, but then we'll polygroup by crease. Then I'm going to try to remesh it from there. Still no goo, so back to retop for me. So let me pin the Z-sphere in here and just move it off because I hate when it's this close. That's okay. just make that little point on my own rather than putting that into the retop version of it. Okay, now that that's done, I can make this an adaptive skin, and that down to 1, turn that down to 0, and just make it, I know it's gonna look okay. Pin that bad boy back in. Right here, I'm gonna delete the Z sphere. And now that that's bringing this back up over here. Okay. I think if I have Z modeler on, it will snap the surface. There we go. Super big transparency so I can at least see it. Insert a line there so I can meet it up a little bit better. I'm gonna add another crease line there so I can push that back into it. Oh. Okay. That should be okay. Now, and now let me just mirror and weld this together. And if it doesn't match up with your retop, you can always just mask off one side. Hold up. Where's my gizmo? Okay. You can mask one side and pull it over the mirror line and then mirror weld it again. Again, I'm going to crease these areas. I'm extrude it out. Let's look. Turn all these down again. And this crease poly group. I don't have to go through each individual crease poly group. There we go. We'll do the edges though, just so they stay nice and crisp. Seems to me like it is sharp down the middle, so I'm going to add that line in there. Except for when it comes to right here. And let me just turn off this thing. Turn off transparency. You can use one of the other tools that I used before. Control-N. Oh wait, I got rid of my thing. Oh crap, that sucks. Using the deformation tool again of smoothing by features, so at least keeps it relaxes the entire mesh for you. And I'll take that away and let me go back to my other tool so I can get that back. Thanks for the follow, Core here. But somehow I got that messed up, so I'm just going to do mirroring weld again. I could also use the other option, which is a lot less destructive, which is Smart Resim, which fixes it. As long as it's mirrored on both sides, it should work perfectly fine that way. This line here. Infinite, and then make that nice little lip there. what? I don't think that's the concept I had in mind. How can I fix that at this stage? I guess I could make this into a triangle here. That should fix it. Realized the concept wasn't matching up to the side profile that I was seeing. And one more. That's farther back too. Honestly, it comes all the way up to right here. How did I not notice that? Oh, I like that one. It's gonna look a little bit rough for a minute while I go through the process of straightening it up. Let me delete the inside and this part. This, yeah, so let's stitch these two together and delete this line here, stitch those together, smooth that out so I can see how it looks. This needs to be forward. I think this part was throwing me off, that it came so close in the middle in the concept. Since that seems to be better, I can go through and add another line. Split this line first, and then edge loop. Okay, and stitch all these back into place, and just delete these lines that are in there. Okay, there we go. Let me just slide this. Okay, that should be all right. You just delete this line and put it back. Oh, no, I didn't. Sorry, I just saw the message. God dang, concept art was in the way. I'm probably gonna watch the all the recaps later on, though. That's typically what I tend to do. Okay, now let's give it some thickness. I'm going to uncrease all the crease groups again. And now let's go through the process of creasing all this other crap that's fine. Let's like go. Add another line here. Slide this up. And then I'm going to use the deformation relax by features again. I'll polish by features. That looks better at least, and I'm gonna delete this one. Make it this kind of buckle up. Okay, that's better towards the concept at least. Everything else should be about just softening up the edges to make it look more natural. Now that that's there, let's just let that lip to show a little bit more. Pull this stuff down. this is armpit. Okay. So now that that's there, let's just focus on what I want these shapes to look like. At least the silhouette. Wider. Wasn't this like squarish? I looked at it. Yeah, this was. Last little bit. Let's make another one. Allow here to be sharper. Let me show you how to create a super simple curve brush. So in the concept, these are a little bit more square than how I have them. Or at least in one concept, one side of the concept is square, the other side, it has this sharp angle on it. So it must have been a change from when he was actually detailing it out. So let's go to a different subtool, all right? I'm going to make this a poly mesh. I'm going to exchange it with a cube and cube. This a little bit bigger. Oh wait, I got the half steps in. Let's do different thing. Delete. So you can do that method of bringing in a cube, right? Or you can also use the initialize system, which how do you go to cube, then turn down the divide. The only problem with this method is that they will have a star on top, which is not bad, but I don't want that. So I'm going to do the original way. Again, Q, make sure you have the gizmo out. Q is done. Put this in the middle. Well, you can have some errors along the way. Elongate this a bit. And you need to have at least 3 sections of the mesh. So I'm going to bubble it. All right. So part 1, 2, 3. So beginning, middle, and end pieces. I'm going to go to my select lasso tool. Select that area and change the poly group of it. So now that I have that done, I'm going to detail this the way I want to. So because it's going to be a little bit thicker, square, do this. I'm going to add my creases ahead of time just so I can easily prototype with it. I guess I don't need them on the ends. Let me see. Let me test it out real quick. Turn that down. Turn this up. I guess let me add the creases to the top and bottom. Yeah, that's pretty good. So smooth that out. Bring it back, and then I'm going to add some extra lines in here just so it curves properly. Now, after you get that part done, you want to unweld group borders, which is going to split off the poly groups but not make them separate groups, which I believe is in Modify Topology, in Geometry, in unweld group borders. All right, so now that we have that all separated, like you can click on this and then move it up and down without it doing anything, you're going to create a insert mesh brush. I'm going to create a new one just because it's easier. Oh crap, I didn't mean to mask it off. I'm going to do it again because I had it masked, which I think creates some issues. It's append to this one, and I'm going to go into my brush, select this one, and I'm going to delete the mesh from there. All right, now that we got that, whenever we decide to put this brush out, it's going to just make the object. But if you go to brush, modifiers, you can turn on, oh wait, this is step 2. You can go to stroke first, go to curve, turn on curve mode, which makes it so your mesh kind of comes together. But if you notice, it's not actually connected just yet. And that is where brush comes in, where you have triparts on, but you press weld on, and then you press stretch. And then when you do that, it creates this nice mesh for you. And if you do the D key, you can see what it looks like smooth. And because we put the creases down early, it's still in there at the end. So yeah, that's good. And we can also use, our deformation thing to make it a little bit more smooth. Oops. Yeah, so you can play around with the deformation stuff as well. So just for transparency, I'm going to also delete these middle edges as well and see what that one looks like. Go back to my brush create, and I'm just going to append it this time again. Okay. And see what that looks like. Still looks pretty good. Then back up to curve, modifiers, and then weld points and stitch. So that's all good. There is another modifier, I just don't remember what it's called right now. So if I remember before the end of this, I'll post that up as well. At least show you. All right. So now that we have that kind of in the way, we can make this if we wanted to. And you can smooth it out to see what it's going to look like. But one easy way to kind of get the look or place it in the exact same spot is to crease the edges and use the crease as a kind of line to build off of. So we're going to do that in a second. And I'm still going to have to go in and make it look nice, but at least it accomplishes like 99% of what we're trying to do. And that's if it works. So I want to go to my crease curve brush, right? I go along the edge of this. Or can I do the other thing? Where is that brush at? Curve pinch, curve bridge. Isn't it just a regular topology brush? I see topology here, but that's not right, is it? Maybe this will work. Let's test it. Because it's basically doing the same thing, so I don't know why it wouldn't. I'm a genius. Turn the curve step up, which is just going to take that number of points out of there. Must need to go really high. Or it could just not work. Because I'm seeing the exact same amount. No longer a genius. Definitely should have worked. Okay, I'll do it by hand. See, that's what it should have done earlier. concept again. So this works, but I also didn't put on the curve modifier, which is incredibly useful. I'm going to flip this, but it doesn't really matter because I'm doing this anyway. And I want a spike in the middle. So basically what it does is it creates, go back to this. It creates a taper effect that goes in and out based on this curve function. I'm actually going to add more steps to this. And then I'm just going to delete it by hand. There we go, that's better shape. And then I'm just gonna split hidden. So now that I got that, I'm gonna turn these off. I'm just gonna move this into place. Turn that off for a bit to get this in the general area and then start deleting some of those links. Because I might delete the middle line for right now and then put it back in. I'm pretty sure there are better ways of doing this than the way I did it. Because I could have just made a plane and did this the exact same way. Thanks for the follow, Fresh Talk. And I guess I will make this part come up more. I am going to thicken this one out, but and that same method that I use for creating this is how I create hair brushes and stuff. I do have a set that I like to use that is from another artist, and whenever I start working on a hair and I start using it, I'll shout out that artist as well. But I want to take a look at the hair by itself to see if I am going to use it. Let me turn this off again. make this thinner. This should come in more, so let's mask that off. Then do a twist that way, twist that. Let me turn on the previous model so I can at least see where you're supposed to line up at. Let me look at the side profile one more time. So this does not come out as much. This pops up in the back rather than comes down. This off for a bit. Refine the shape some more. This is also a good base to sculpt from, so even if you don't use it exactly how I'm using it, or maybe I decide to sculpt on this a little bit later, it's still like a good base of like, okay, I want this to be a separate object right here by itself, and then I can always adjust the topology when I need it. This area off and bring it back up. And I'm gonna use the deformation tool again. Just change the way this looks. D. Yeah, this might need to be captured with a sculptural detail, not straight up, what's the thing called? Not just these primitives. No, they're not. How's that mode on? It's down to 2. Didn't go like 4 or 5. Let's put up once more and then turn that to 5. I wonder if I could at least do these tentacles with a brush. Yeah, okay. So alpha. I'm really terrible about naming where to put all my stuff, so I just put everything in alpha. And I promise, since I am using someone else's brush, I'm going to post the name of the person inside of the chat in a second, as well as on the YouTube video when this goes up. So this is the same thing, but I'm gonna go to stroke and change the modifier to size, but flip it. And change the curve step to be something a little bit higher. Right. What's this the one I use? I'm pretty sure it's this one. Light. I change the modifier, make it not so thin at the bottom. And change the curve step. It really does suck when it just automatically snaps to the middle. And let's see if, yeah, that's not gonna work. All right, so let me turn off active symmetry. And then I'm going to make this bigger. And that seems pretty good. I'm going to probably thicken up the base part though. Oh, that's right. This is part of that. So let me split this first. Now that's pretty good. I can just move this to place. Make sure masking is off. Huh? Okay, that broke for me. One more time. And let's go back to my stroke and functions. Bring it down a little bit more. Bring this up. that's fine. Ish. Split a mask. Now that we got that all squared away, I can turn this off. I like it being a little bit more detached anyway. That's the one thing I don't care about these brushes for, and I think I made a riff off of this one, but I must have only saved it in the Ganondorf file. So what I'm going to do is merge points, well points, turn that pretty high up. Okay, so turn it a little bit farther down, a little bit more. A little bit more. So about right there, and I'm gonna crease like the side edges on it. Crease all the top area. Try to keep that bit kind of like it. Kind of like these sharp edge bits. It makes it feel more metal. I can't think of a better word for that. Metallic, hammered. And I want to start to push this stuff back in, mask this area off, curving that back in there. And look at the concept. It does go back in here. I'll mask this area off too. And shrink it a little bit. Is it? Okay. I got 15 minutes left in the stream because I do have to go somewhere. I could go through and, wrong brush. I'll stitch this together. And of course, using the curve levels, go around and play with how I want that to be. So it kind of looks really cool when they mirror this over to the side. Sucks, I'm gonna lose my picture again. I could just mirror it. Sorry, wrong mirror. This mirror is located in Z plugins under Subtool Master. Let me see what stitching these things together looks like though. Increase this one. Let's see how I like that. No, I don't like that one. Okay, I think this would be better with having it together. Seems pretty all right. It's not terrible. And there's still more ways I can make it more like the concept, like insetting some areas a little bit more. This actually doesn't come down as much as I have it. Conversion. Okay, so that's the reason why I was so confused. So there's like a discrepancy between the concept on one side and the other one. So where it's sharp in one picture, it's super, what did I say first? Sharp on one side, it's hard, God dang it, soft on the other. Hey, what's going on, Mr. Grimm? Are you a freelancer? No, I work for a studio called Kabam, and this is just a side project, man. However, I'm most likely going to start doing some statue work, personal stuff. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Freelancing is just as okay as it was before, for character art at least. Freelance okay now and then, or first time is a struggle without a client.
I don't understand what you mean, Pepsi. Uh, Poly counts is a pretty good way to do it. ArtStation, um, right? That's a couple. Honestly, networking is a really big part of freelancing. But yeah, there are plenty of things you can do, right? Even for little small bits of cash. Like right now, VR chat is super huge, and there's people who are doing skins for that, who are asking for skins, and I don't know how much they charge usually. But there are plenty of places to get you this stuff. Honestly, I need to put that in the Discord. Let me put that message up for myself. Thank you for reminding me, Pepsi. And if you're not part of the Discord, there you go. I hope I spelled that right. I'll be sure to add a little section where you can find those places a little bit easier. This. There we go. A reminder for myself. I'm gonna put it on sticky note too, just in case. Nope, don't look at that. Yeah, no, but always happy to help anyone look for work. I know one of our people, what's his name? My oh my. Let me make sure that's his name in the Discord. It's Mayo. He works on skins and stuff for VR chat. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I was terrible as a small freelancer originally. It's just because I never knew how much to charge anybody. So be sure to do your research.
Now, how about drums? An instrument everybody loves.
Do you have a website, Pepsi? Or ArtStation? think I do remember this conversation, actually, now. Turn off solo, but turn off all these little bits. Like I said, sometimes it's just like I just need a refresher. I have terrible memory, unfortunately. Kind of like that more. Let's do that, shall we? Delete, delete. How does that even make any sense? These are the same pieces. Do I have to delete this one first and then this one? Okay. Try not to talk about politics here. Just now. I'm good. Okay. I think it looks fine, but I want to change something. Are you eating yourself? I didn't click on anything. Sorry about that. That's okay. Maybe I just hit like a button combination and it put that down. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's my little end screen.
I keep messing it up by mistake. Let's take the grease out of here. Change this to 3. Your socials. Talking about me or Mr. Grimm? I believe my social just popped up, so. And if you do the command !! socials, you'll find that too. Is Discord on there now? Yeah, it is. Oh, see, it works. And I remembered. Control. I don't need. Just trying to see which is. It's coming along very, very slowly, but it's coming along. Did I post that thing in Discord? Let me make sure I did. Okay. Calendar. No, I didn't. It was broken. That's right. I need to do that too. That looks pretty good. I'm looking at the left side. The right side is more or less what I had before. I like this one a little more. Keep hitting the wrong buttons. Bevel this piece. Maybe that. So we're going to start doing community days. Basically, everyone in the Discord, everyone in the Discord is able to come if they want to, where we just kind of sculpt and talk on Discord, and you can ask questions there. And this won't be on stream or anything like that. And then also we'll do some game days as well, so we can just get a chance to know each other. I want the community to be a little small group where, people who are new can learn and stuff like that. So it'll be a perfect opportunity for everyone to kind of, learn some new tricks. Also get to know people who
are a little bit more knowledgeable about like freelancing and stuff, I know that we have at least 1 or 2 people who are doing that kind of stuff. Yes. That's a lie. But thank you, Pepsi. Oh, just letting you know, Mr. Grimm, I don't know if you're a huge Halo fan, but me and Lost Artists are gonna play through a lot of the Halos, you know. I think we're starting with the first one, which is only 2-player co-op, but whenever we go to another one, if you're down, we can always use a third. Like he said we're gonna play on Legendary, but it's been a long time since I played on Legendary. What's this? Should I delete that? Let's delete this and delete single polygon. Okay, that's good. Level. Increase the poly groups again. It seems so weird how, even though it's the exact same line, it's 2 different functions. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Did not go through. Did not. Okay. Let's delete some more polygons. Sorry, I suck at hard surface most of the time, so it takes me a little bit longer to do than, say, anything that's organic. That doesn't even make sense why I even touched it. Okay. My ZBrush is cursed. That's the other option in this. I like the way that looks now. Now that it's the cap off these areas. Close holes, there we go. Should have creased nicely, and it didn't.
Maybe if I extrude the edges on here, probably loop, but then I collapse them. That's okay. Yes. Do some finalized stuff on it, and I'm going to just delete this side completely. And I'm going to auto group these. I'm going to split this one off. Make this about the same size as it is here. Didn't delete it. Delete the old one, I should say. Delete the old one. Auto group again because they were the same poly group. And where's my concept at? Right here. The side profile looks like on this bad boy. There is no side profile, so I'm guessing this nice punchy. Bring that in. I am gonna smooth this out later on though. Like that, and I'm going to mirror this over before I make the ones in the middle, because there's a chance that I'm gonna have to do something a little bit different with them. So mirror, make sure all of them are masked first. Mirror, put on. Okay. Where's my eyeball? There he goes. Just let me put that up. So, it has an eyeball here, right? But then when you go over to here, they change up the shape of it. Or that's just shadow. It might just be shadow, but the way it has it looks like it's kind of. Okay, yeah, but I like the eyeball more. You need more coffee. This is 5 right now. Okay, now that I have these kind of squared away, I'm going to get these off. Okay. It's kind of sad because we have nothing in that kitchen right now, so we need to actually go shopping. Oh crap, I'm past the time when I was supposed to get off. All right, let me hurry up and put this down and then leave. Okay, so that's good, that's there. Turn this on, select this one. We're just going to Target, so it's not that big of a deal, but I want to make sure, you know, real safe and we get stuff done. Gotta run your errands. What's I doing? Oh, okay, there we go. Selecting that, deleting hidden. Let's say the old one, right? Yeah. Auto grouping them, selecting the one, deleting the one, bringing that back. And now that that is there, let's move view, turn off symmetry. Make that smaller. Let's turn this off right now. All right, pull that up into it. D. Delete some of these polygroups. And mirror one more time. Okay, that doesn't look bad. Let's grab this real quick and move this someplace else. This down so I can picture this part a little bit easier. So this is nice area. Okay, sorry for the abrupt end to this video. But we gotta do what we gotta do. Yeah. So what did we get done this time around? So we got majority of the pauldron done. I am going to move these about a little bit more. Let me not do that now. Stop it, because I will. Next time we come back to this, we'll finish this off. What I'm going to do in between sessions is probably sculpting this out a little bit more, because I want this one and this one to be a little bit more sculptural in their detailing. Anyway, after looking at it, and I might do a little bit more silhouette changes, but I'll at least show you those changes once I come back. Thank you so much for following along. Here is all of my social stuff, so go ahead and follow those. Join the Discord. We have community days, like I was saying before. Those are going to be on a rotating schedule of Thursdays and Saturdays, and those are free to join if you want. They're going to be both a mix of just straight up art stuff as well as games, so we can get to know each other. But y'all have a good rest of y'all day, and I hope to see you at the next one.